All right, part 2. So I promised you guys flowers. We'll get into some flowers now. They're a lot less morbid. So why do these muscle imbalances happen? Why do they have to happen to us, right? I break it down into 2 categories. One is lifestyle. We already saw the computer posture. Do I need to go back to this kid? That's a real person. And that could, actually, I think the kid is worse than that x-ray vision. That's a big factor, lifestyle. So the sitting position is cross-posture syndrome. Shortened hip flexors, lengthened glutes, and our belly and our core just kind of turn off because we don't need them when we're sitting. And then we're hunched forward and we have to look up at the computer. That we are facilitating, we are helping this natural occurrence of cross-posture syndrome along. And I'm not saying don't sit, I'm just saying don't sit for too long, get up and move around every once in a while. That's all. Okay, the big one I want to talk about is stress. So that second picture, stress, that is the focus of why we're going to talk about flowers and other things. So we hold stress in our bodies. We all have stress. If you don't have financial stress, you have some other sort of stress, okay? And we hold it in our bodies. It can cause any number of health conditions. Muscle tension is one thing that happens in our bodies to stress. We've all experienced tension in our neck or our shoulders when we're stressed out. That's our physiological response to stress. Stress is energy, and it's negative energy, and it goes into our bodies, and we hold it there. So, how does stress lead to these muscle imbalances? Well, subconsciously, when we're under stress, our subconscious mind, because of, survival instincts, we sense danger. It is a form of danger, because there's many different types of stress. There's nutritional stress, there's mental stress, psychological stress, physical stress, injuries. That's all stress. Stress is a really big term, okay? And when we sense danger, we go into protection mode, okay? It's a survival instinct. And what is protection mode? That's protection mode. So flowers do it too. Every species on the planet does it. We close up. We close up and we protect what's most important to us, the organs that are keeping us alive. And so stress has the response in us to go into the fetal position. The fetal position is a position of protection for us. Go back to this picture of this guy. That's just what we do. We don't really have that much control over it, but when we're under chronic low levels of stress and we're not actively going in the fetal position, we're walking around, going to the grocery store, doing all the things we do, our bodies still have this physiological response of tightening those muscles that would normally bring us into that position. Subtly, over time, it has a big impact on our posture and everything. That muscle tension that we're holding on to, there's a purpose to that. Our bodies are trying to protect us, okay? And we all have stress. We can't eliminate stress. Yeah, we can meditate. We can try and view the stress as an opportunity rather than a challenge. Those are things you can do. But we're not going to avoid stress altogether. So this is what happens. We close up, and our bodies are sending tightness into our muscles. The whole goal is to try and stay open. Just like a flower, we want our flowers to stay open and pretty as long as possible. That's what we want to do too. We want to stay open and not let ourselves close up, because if we close up more and more and more, it becomes harder and harder to stay open. Our muscle imbalance is reversible. So, by the way, these are flowers that were already open, and they closed up in response to some kind of stress, whether it was too much sunlight, or not enough water, or something. These flowers closed up after they were already open. So, are they reversible? Can we reopen after our bodies are closed down? Yes, absolutely. Of course we can. Our bodies have an amazing capacity to heal themselves, and get better, and it's incredible. So I've seen it in so many different people. It's really inspiring to me, and that's why it's my passion. So my goal is to help people stay open as long as we can, just like we want our flowers to do. And you can do it with therapeutic exercise, core balance training. You can strengthen the muscles that tend to become weak and lengthened, like our abdominals and our glutes. And you can stretch and open up the muscles that tend to become short and tight. So this is the bridge pose. This is one of my favorite exercises on the planet because it's exactly the opposite of sitting and not closing up. Shirley knows this exercise. Hopefully you're still doing it. It's exactly the opposite of the closed up posture that we've been talking about this whole time. So if there's one thing you take away from this talk here, you didn't remember anything I said, and you just go home and you just do this exercise once a day, have the biggest impact on your life. Firm surfaces are a little bit easier to do this on, and anybody can do this exercise to different degrees. So if your hips and your muscle imbalances are really bad, you're not going to go into full bridge right away, but you can gradually work towards it. Because when you're doing this exercise, the major muscles holding you up are your glutes on the back. Those are lifting you up, and your abdominals are helping to pull. So you're working the two major muscle groups that tend to become weak and lengthened. You are tightening and strengthening them. And the two muscles that tend to become tight and short, you are opening them up, you're stretching them. Look at the front of the hips, they're fully open right now. And the lower back muscles, it doesn't appear that way in this picture, but those are actually being lengthened as well. So this is the perfect beginner level exercise for reversing muscle imbalances, the predictable muscle imbalances that occur. And I encourage all of you to do it, so you don't have to come up in a full bridge. You can just lift a little bit up off the bed or the table. And yeah, you can do this in bed. So if you don't like to get down on the floor or climb up onto tables, all you got to do is wake up in the morning, do a couple bridges, start my day. Or right before you go to bed at night, do a couple bridges, have a good sleep. That's it. So it can literally only take 60 seconds. You can hold the pose or you can do repetitions. Okay, so for that reason, this is perfect exercise, and I'm not going to give you any more because this will solve all your problems in life. Now, for reals though, it'll have an impact. If you do this, it will have a positive impact. Okay, and there's lots of more stuff you can do. There's actually stuff that's even more basic than this for people that have really chronic problems, really severe chronic problems. Their cores actually completely turn off, and they don't even know how to use their core. They can't even activate their glutes and their abdominal muscles because the stress has gotten to them so much that their bodies have gone so much into protection that they've lost the ability. So we do exercises with my worst condition clients just to activate, to become aware of what your core is again, because we forget, and to activate, and then once it's activated, we go into strengthening and stuff like that. Okay, so I did, when I was making this whole presentation, I thought, man, a lot of negative stuff in here, but it's ending on a positive note because we have the ability to control and reverse this stuff, and it can have an incredible impact on your lives. Just walking around feeling better has a great impact on your day. So I encourage you guys to look into this stuff, do this stuff, just do the bridge if that's all you're interested in, and I promise it'll help you sail off into the sunset a little happier. All right. Question?
You showed man in the fetal position as a protective code. What is it telling me when I sleep in fetal position?
That is a fantastic question. So sleeping positions are something that I don't give too much hard advice for because sleeping is a really personal, intimate activity, so you don't want to mess with someone's sleep. But I would say that if the fetal position is a really comfortable position for you, then it's probably a sign that you have some muscle imbalances, and it's a safer position for your body. And that's not a bad thing. Actually, I slept in the fetal position for years. It took me a long time to be able to not sleep in the fetal position. I mean, when I say years, I meant like 90% of my life. So I'm just now starting to sleep on my back and stuff. It's not a bad thing, it's really common. I wouldn't worry too much about it. But yeah, it's a safe position to be in. And it's comfortable. And it's more comfortable the more your muscles are out of balance. Okay, so we see like babies and people that are super healthy and they can just sleep like this. You know, they probably don't have a severe muscle imbalance. It's not much more comfortable to sleep like this. Are you contributing to muscle imbalances by sleeping like that? I don't really know the answer to that. Are you making them worse? I don't really know. Because it's a passive activity, you're kind of relaxed in sleep. But it's just safer and more comfortable. You are contributing to your muscle imbalances when you're sitting at a computer all day long though. Because that's an active activity. Your hip flexors are short and tight for hours and you're holding yourself up like that. So those are the things you want to be more conscious of. Great question though.
So, and people that do use the computer quite often, do you recommend a laptop more than a desktop?
No, I would recommend a desktop because typically the screen sits higher and is bigger, and so you don't have to be hunched down looking at the screen. And if you do have to, for work or for whatever you do, use a computer a lot, I recommend just taking frequent, I call them micro breaks. So just stand up every once in a while, reset. You just stand up and just open up for a second, and then go right back down to work. So anything that you do repetitively is traumatic. So even something that seems really healthy, like running. If ultra marathon runners are actually doing damage to their bodies, it's just too much. So you don't want to do anything, everything in moderation. We've heard that so many times, and that holds true. So it's all about balance. So yeah, if you sit and use a computer a lot or watch TVs and movies, just get up every once in a while. That'll help. Another fantastic question. Oh, okay.
What kind of,
She was first.
okay, go ahead.
What is our sleep position? What is
You know, if I were to answer that question, it would just be my opinion, okay? So I think that's just a topic that will never be really solved. But in my opinion, I think it's the back because it's just the way we evolved. We didn't have mattresses thousands of years ago, and I imagine people didn't really sleep on their sides because it's really painful to sleep on a hard surface on your side. And it's the most open position, and I would say the stomach, but it's really kind of hard on your neck to be slept with your head turned on the side. But that's just my opinion, and I think that the most important thing is that you get good sleep. So I wouldn't make any drastic changes unless you know, it's your intention and you feel like it's appropriate. Yeah. This is also about having fun, because when you have fun, you're not stressed out, so that helps too.
This has been the most enjoyable presentation I think I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. That makes me feel good. Now I feel more open, like a flower.